welcome to the Leah Moses Entrepreneur Podcast, our second episode. This podcast is designed for the millennial to, start their journey into entrepreneurship, business ownership, and even self-employment. Right? Of course, I am from Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, so I focus a lot on most of my examples and details will center around Trinidad and Tobago and by extension the Caribbean region. However, I'm certain that plenty of the details would also apply to the international market that may be listening as well. So today's topic will be the essentials of getting started, right, in entrepreneurship. The essentials to getting started. And so I will try my best to go from the very basic, all right, into the more detailed, into the more broad, things that you would need, right? Of course, if I miss anything, be free to, leave your comments. Send, if you're listening to this on Anchor, send in a voice message whereby I can easily put it in on the end, your valuable contributions. And so, starting out, I will initially say that you need an idea. All right? I mean, we could go even further back and say, it all starts with the mindset. Because, not everyone thinks like an entrepreneur or a business person, right? And so some people, they may have the mindset naturally, but then some others may have to be exposed, to the concepts and the benefits and the value of, being your own boss or having your own corporation, something that you built, leaving generational wealth, often is tied not just into multiple streams of income, but into something that you can call yours. And so the mindset is the start, and then from there you can sit down and you can have an idea. You are supposed to generate this idea, something that can solve a problem, something that could meet a need, right? Some people do seasonal businesses, so something that might be, booming right now. You may choose to be a person that opens or has a seasonal business, and that's quite fine. Here in the Caribbean, right off the top of my brain, seasonal business, if you are deciding you just want to sell sorrel, coming down to the end of the year for the Christmas season, that is a seasonal business. You can definitely do that if you so desire. So it's all about finding that need, finding where you fit in, finding where there's a market, right, for what you have to offer. But more than anything, it's about providing value. Anything that could be of value could be a business. And so that's step one. Now, after you have this idea, you might flesh it out. What I usually would have done in all the ventures I got started, and I would usually, something would click. Well, I had the mindset from ever since, and something would just click about an idea, something that I can offer, something that is probably missing in a particular space region, something that's missing from the entire country. I might think about it and start to and pull one of those printer papers, right? That's literally what I do. I pull a printer paper, pull my pens, which are always nearby, and I get that pen to paper because, men of great from before would have said, your fadest ink is better than your strongest memory. And what does that mean? It simply means that your strongest memory still fails in comparison to a ink on a paper that might be faded, but you could still see it, right? And we know how that operates. Sometimes you think of a business idea, and then certain parts, certain intricate details, you may have forgotten what you said you would charge, or what you said, who you said you would connect, or who you have to call to get certain things in place, who you have to network with, or whatever, you might forget. But when you pen that, right, when you put that on paper, it's not, it goes nowhere unless you throw away the paper or lost the paper by some means. And so some of us, we have a book. I encourage people to have a book, whereby you can write your ideas. So when those ideas come, you need to write it down. And sometimes we have $1 million ideas sitting in our minds and we do nothing about it, or we have limiting beliefs concerning the idea, and so sometimes it's never fleshed out, right? Which is unfortunate. But you need to have, I usually would pen that idea and flesh it out to the detail, right? And then after fleshing it out, the second thing, if you count mindset as the first and the idea as the second, the third thing is really coming up with your business name, right? Your business name and your model. And why is this important? Because now you need to be on that mindset of getting registered. Registering your business is just as important, and I will give you an example of why registration is important. You see, a lot of times, especially in the Caribbean and in Trinidad and Tobago, you might find people, you get a business idea. Let's say it's in food and beverage. You think of a business idea and you just know how easy or relaxed the laws are, whereby you can just get your food badge or so and start your business. And you don't think about, having a name, coining a name, or in a lot of cases, some people coin a name. You might see a food cart and there's a name painted on it, or stuck on it, or there's a banner with the name of the business or the concept. However, if you do a check with the legal affairs or the company's registry, the business isn't registered, and that's a huge problem, especially if you're thinking about expansion or you're thinking about the future. Why? This is the example why now. Because let's just say I come out with a concept. We'd stick with the food because we know we Chinese, we love to eat, right? Food business, once you have a good product, food business thrives. Good product and sometimes not so much good product, but also good location, and your product thrives. I'm sure a lot of people in the double sales or who buy doubles could tell you that sometimes we have doubles that taste different, and the doubles that taste the best may sell out first, but when they go, because the other doubles are not so hot, is positioned in a good place, they automatically get sale as well. And so good product as well as good location, or both, and you can win, you can score, right? So the concept is we're going to stick in the food business. If I decide I want to start a food business and I come up with a concept, a name, let's just say I come up with Heavenly Bites. Don't know if that's a business out there. If it is, you get some free advertising, right? So let's say I come up with the concept Heavenly Bites, and I invest in a food truck or a food cart, or I even do it on my vehicle, as most people do, with just a banner. And I'm doing well, and I have customers, right? Clients that come every time I'm out there. They come and I get my sales, like that, right? And then I decide to expand. The problem is things about ideas. A name like that could be easily thought of by someone else, and that other person might be someone thinking about, hey, I need to get this registered. I need to be legally registered on in the documents, right? That I own this business, and they may go a step further as well, according to what the business is. They may copyright certain things, whether it be the logo, the symbol, or some people copyright the name, like as for like companies like Nike and Uber and so on, right? You would see that their names and so on are copyrighted. You can't just take their names legally. That is, you can't just take their names and reproduce things. You make a jersey with their name, you make a sneaker with their name, those things are copyrighted. And so if your business is thriving under that name, and somebody else decides, I feel they don't know about you because you're still small, and they decide, I feel I need to register this business, and they run out there to legal affairs, or they utilize one of our services, which is business registration, and they go and they register and start their business. Because they have the registered document, you now can't use that business, right? You can't register that name. You're already known for that name. You have to come and change the name now, which is, it could kind of make you lose some customers, make you lose some business, and then you would have been building that brand in vain, I would say, right? And so not just that, if a person goes as far as copyrighting certain things, you will definitely have to change that name. Now, usually nobody would want to have the same name of a registered business. It's not advised. You're not supposed to do that. But if they copyright certain things, what we have happening, I've heard of many stories, especially in the international world, whereby, if there are people who scout for businesses to see, which businesses are registered, which aren't registered. And if you're not registered and they realize your business is going good, they can go and register and copyright all that information and basically seize everything from you, because it looks like now you are in violation of the things that they had registered and copyrighted. So you don't want to find yourself in that problem, when it comes to your business, right? Especially after it's off the ground, after you have put that idea out and you flesh it out. And let me just stick this here one time. You do not need to be perfect. You do not have to have all the corners and the details, filled out before you make a move to start. A lot of things you have to perfect on the way, on the journey. That's the entrepreneurial life, taking that leap and then sorting out the other things as you go, right? As time and experience and so on come by, that is when you can build whatever you have to perfection, or to a state of superiority, if you want to put it like that. And so that is one of the essential things, that you get yourself registered. You come up with a name, something that's fairly simple for people to remember, and you come up with that name and you get it registered. Right? I support all businesses being registered, no matter how small you see it now. Get yourself registered, right? If your business has a logo, get that registered, get that copyrighted, as part of building your brand, because brand building is so important. And of course, in future podcasts, you will hear me speak on this whole branding and why it is important, especially in this era and from 2020 beyond. It was always important before, but as we are in 2020 now, it has become more and more essential for you to have your registration as well as building your brand along with everything else, right? So business registration is an essential thing. Following the business registration, I will definitely say that your fourth essential thing is to have an online presence. Yes, even if you have a physical local business, no matter how local it might be, you might be the neighborhood wackerman or bush cutter. It doesn't matter how small, right? Because the aim is you should have a vision for what you want to do. And so don't just think about being, just the serviceman for your street, because you never know, word may go out and one day you might be servicing the whole region wherever you live, or the whole, if you're international, your whole city, right? You never know, right? And so you need that online presence. Now let me just get in quickly to why online presence is important. Now we live in a world where we're no longer dependent on sticking cards in windshield glasses or your driver door glass. Some people still do it here in Trinidad and Tobago, like when you go park up at Movie Tongue and so on. But we no longer go in that manual route, or you no longer have to go that manual route of sticking a card in a windshield, or physically going around distributing flyers, or going to the newspaper publishers and asking them to stick your flyer within their paper. Now, all those things are good. If you're still doing that, kudos to you. But there are easier ways, is what I'm saying. And the reason why your online presence is essential is because you can simply, and I've done this for the car wash business that we started, which was to map that business on Google. You see, Google, I'm starting with Google. I'll get to the social media pages shortly, but I'm starting with Google. Google, you have the ability to map your business, your location, right? To map your service, your skill on Google, free of charge. Basically, you verify, with your email and certain other documents that they will ask you for. to verify that our business is in a particular place. And so what that does is that gives you a lot of free marketing. It gets the word out about you and what you offer for free. So when I pinned the car wash at the location that it was operating at, it will suggest to people in the area or nearby in a let's say I set it for 5 kilometers or a radius of 5 km or 10 km or whatever. It will actually share that details with people. And so when you get to fill out the address, you get to fill out your business contact number and even your times of operation, and then you have the ability where your customers can tag that they will hear and that kind of thing. And so it pushes that information out to people. And so I remember getting calls from clients who had never came before and hearing them saying, where's this business exactly? I'm seeing it here. And so obviously I will do the follow-up to find out, okay, how did you hear about the business? Right? Because yes, we had our social pages, but we didn't do any paid ads, right? And so that's what I'm showing you. It's an organic way to get customers and traction to your business. And so the calls were coming in and asking exactly where. And when I asked them, where did you get the information about the business? They said, on Google suggested that there's this car wash nearby. And so that was a powerful tool. That is a powerful tool, because I want you to think about it. Let's say you are an electrician and you have your service and you're operating from home and you have your business registered. You can simply apply on Google, right, to have your business pinned to your house so that the people nearby could know. Because let's be real, a lot of the times in a lot of places, you may know some people next to you, the first couple of houses near to you. Some people may know everybody on a particular street. There are short streets like that. But then sometimes by the time you get to the street, what about the street after your street? Or the street behind your street? You wouldn't get to everyone. So everyone may not know that you possess that skill, right? And so having Google map that or map your business is actually a good way to let everybody know, because remember, the aim is to get customers, right? Any business aim is to get customers. That's the lifeblood of your business, right? And so Google will help you with that. You don't have to walk around the neighborhood in certain flyers, pamphlets, and so on. Yeah, as a matter of fact, you'd be wasting paper, right? And we're trying to be a more green society. And so being online in that form of using Google is something that I will deem as essential. Get your online presence, get your business mapped with Google. In addition to that, I will then say, of course, set up your social media pages, right? The broad reason why is because your audience live on social media. Now, yes, it's true, not everybody will be on Instagram. So if you have, you can create your Instagram profile to target your audience that may be on Instagram more. And then you can also create your Facebook page, which these are the two that I definitely recommend everybody should have: your Instagram page and your Facebook page. And by the way, the two can be linked, so you can share posts to one location, to your Instagram, and then you can set it to automatically go to your Facebook, so that you don't have to keep doing that same work over and over again. Now other people may decide, I will select a certain kind of content for Instagram, which is more picture based, and now we have the stories feature, you can do your little clips, and IGTV allows you to give longer clips. But you can save Instagram for the little pictures and videos, and then Facebook, you can save it for, your picture and your video, yes, but with also some more blogging or some more copy readings, right? A little blog along with whatever, right? And of course, you use your Facebook to do your paid ads if you're deciding to go and pay, to get your audience to see your content or to see what you have to offer. So I would definitely say, have your Facebook out, have your Facebook page, have your Instagram page. These are marketing tools, right? And listen to the word carefully. They are tools in which you can use to market and get your message out there, right? And in addition to that, depending on the type of business you have, right, the world is moving in such a way where, as we would have seen, a lot of companies are starting to, have started in the international world, and even locally, a lot of companies are now utilizing people who have, who have generated audiences, right? What they call them influencers, right? People who have generated audiences. We have companies using such individuals to, get exposure, or get their company to have exposure, or their products and services and so on. And so if you want to be the person that a company uses, right? A lot of people know down here, if you get a contract with a company, you score, right? That's the day, as we say. So, if you decide that you want to be that person, that go-to person, right, for companies, then you need to start looking to LinkedIn.com, right? Because LinkedIn allows you to blog and show forth your expertise in an area. LinkedIn also is where all the business CEOs lime around, if you want to call it that, right? Where they hang out. So you can now show your authority or your knowledge in a particular field by going into LinkedIn ever so often and putting a nice post that can teach, inform, educate, and the likes, right? And so we have a lot of people here who might be, let's just say, even if you're into, even if you are just on employment, I know this is a business podcast, but being real, if you are looking for employment and you have a skill, or you are highly qualified, let's say in human resources or something, you can go onto LinkedIn, create your professional profile, and you can share your knowledge, right? And so you can then get your connections with human resource managers of companies, CEOs of companies, COOs of companies, and so you could be discovered for that skill that you have. So in terms of getting back onto the business owner side of things now, if you offer something, right, like I'm saying, there's a rise in a lot of car care companies, right, offering, things like engine steam clean and interior cleaning, steam cleaning, and vent cleaning, and so on. And while the market might generally understand your business concept, but sometimes a customer may not know the difference. Like, why would I take a steam clean versus a water engine wash, right? And so you can get on there, right, if you're service oriented or whatever, even with a product, and you can actually start a blog. You can actually start to write out your reasons why, compare certain things, and that in itself will give you that authority in your field, in your work, right? And therefore, and by extension, connect with the key players, right? You see, a lot of the key players you might need if you're looking for company contracts or company links, right? A lot of them may not be sitting around on your Facebook or on the Instagram. Yes, they are there, but they may be there as their personal profiles and not really exposed to, to finding that kind of stuff there. But definitely on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your professional network. It helps people find jobs if you want, and it helps people that you can actually get contracts, or you can actually be able to link and work with companies when you showcase your skills on that platform. So definitely, if you're in that business where you can explain certain things, or you are interested in educating the market on something, right, and leading them right back to what you have to offer, LinkedIn is definitely a good place for you to be on. Alright, so in terms of your essentials for business, so just to recap, I would have mentioned you have that mindset, right? These are the non-tangibles. You have the mindset for the business, for entrepreneurship, or you acquire it. You then generate your idea. You then go and make sure that business is registered, incorporated. Of course, in future podcasts, I will get into the types of registration and why you should choose or which one may be best for you based on your goals. So After your business is registered, you get an online presence. And in terms of online presence, I spoke about making sure you can map your business on Google, in addition to opening up your social media pages like Facebook and Instagram. And then, of course, if you are into showing your authority in a particular field where you can explain your products and services or teach the market something, you definitely could find yourself on LinkedIn, right? So these are the quick things that are essential to your business, right? I will then put, your physical branding as the last thing that you need or you should have for your business. And so the physical things that you can use for your business, such as the t-shirts. We have a lot of companies offering to print your t-shirts. I strongly believe in wearing your brand, wearing that which you support, and so it can be simply a t-shirt. Some people simply wear a hat that is branded. And some of these branding, sometimes it just has the name that might encourage people to look for it, or there's a name and a phone number. Based on what you do, you decide. And if you take example from the big companies around the world, you will realize that everyone has, or they usually would have their particular merchandise, their apparel or something, right? Some people might do pens. Some companies might decide to get into calendar making, which showcases your brand and the contact information, location information, you name it. Of course, you can go a step further in terms of if you have a vehicle, you can think about vehicle wrapping. I was listening to Prince Donnell's podcast, and he was showing that he bought a vehicle, brand new vehicle. Well, he did it, but he really saw it from his wife before they were married, where she bought a vehicle, luxury vehicle, but she wrapped it with her face and her brand name, right? Because, as she said, she would rather advertise that which is hers than somebody else's own. So you see, a lot of times we have a mindset, locally and I would even say regionally, where we wanna show off what we have. We want to flex, as we say. So you buy the Audi, you want to let everybody know you drive Audi. Look at the Audi, look at this, look at that. Look at the paint job. But when you do that, you're really just bigging up and branding Audi, right? However, if you buy the Audi because you like Audi, but then you wrap it with your business, or sometimes you don't even have to wrap the whole car. There are certain things you can purchase, like car decals, which are these magnetic things that you can take off. They stick onto your car door or whatever. You can make these things online, right? And stick it onto your back door, your front door, or whatever, that will brand your business. But the wrapping of the business, it will then now showcase that here's what, I'm serious, I'm into business. Look for me. You're driving by, that's free advertising, right? Everywhere you go, especially we in Trinidad and Tobago, we drive a lot. We have a lot of cars on the road. And so when you have your vehicle wrapped, you are getting free ads wherever you go. And you never know, if you do it right and you do it good, you can generate a lot of business from something like that. And one of the businesses that come to mind locally that I commend for that is the Ultimate Car Care in St. Augustine, Trinidad and Tobago. They have a panel van that's wrapped, and on the wrapping there's all the details. It's a red wrapper with some silver black, white, and red, the basic colors, right? But it's primarily red, and then you have the writing, and you can see everything, tints and signs and car wash and detailing and the detailed boats. And when you see that, and then you may see the social media symbol that indicate which businesses they are, who they work with, what kind of services they provide. They have everything on that vehicle. And so when that vehicle, whether you're using it to go home personally on a personal run, you're running to grab lunch in it, or you're going to a client and back, people can see this and it catches the eye, right? We also have the local company who ride share, Alrighty, right? Where the vehicle, the SUV is wrapped with Alrighty branding. You can't miss it. right? When you see it, it's now interesting, it's now unique, because it's like, what's this? It's not just a basic vehicle with just a small word on the side, and so that could get overlooked. But when you wrap your whole vehicle, there's a different kind of marketing, a different kind of power in that marketing. And so I will tell people that, if according to how convicted about your brand you are, you can look into wrapping your vehicle and, get some more free advertising, right? So the other physical things, depending on what you're into, you can get that done. If you're a DJ, you know what DJs do, they may put on a sticker on that laptop, so wherever you're playing, the business, your business name, and where you probably your social handles and so on would be on the top of the laptop for the audience to see, or whoever is looking on to see. So these are some of the physical things that would be classed as essential, but you see where they come on the list, right? They come after that business registration and the social presence and so on, right? So these were my essential things. I would love to hear from you if you have any other inputs. Of course, this was a list. This is a non-exhaustive list of essential things. You may have some different ideas, and of course I may have forgotten some, because this was basically done off the top of my head. It's not scripted anyway. So be free to, if you're seeing an ability to send in a voice message, and if you drop some value in there, I can attach it to this podcast, and so other people will hear that perspective as well from you. And if you see where you can comment, you can feel free to comment, and be sure to share this value with someone else who may not know how to move forward. Maybe they have registered their business already, they don't know how to go, what to do next. And so I believe this is definitely something whereby they can get some value out of. And of course, for the details, you can find me on my social media platforms at Leah CL Moses. That's across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, right? The social platforms, you just Google that name, you will find me at one of these platforms. So thank you for tuning in to my podcast once again, and see you for the next episode.